everyone for watching our Standard Drink Challenge. I want to introduce Leo. Leo is one of our interns at the Wellness Center. You want to say a quick hello?
Hi, I'm Leo. This is my first time interning at the Wellness Center, and I'm just happy to be part of it.
Thanks for being here. And my name is Lauren Johnson. I'm the prevention coordinator over at the Wellness Center. And we wanted to come to you today to give you some information about what a standard drink is. So this is a program that we run on campus throughout the year at a couple different events. And because we are remote this year, we wanted to give this resource to you virtually. So this is the standard drink demonstration, and Leo has offered to help me out, so I'm very grateful to him. So a standard drink is what the National Institute of Health recommends to drink no more than 1 drink per hour in order to metabolize that and keep your blood alcohol content down. So if students are choosing to engage in alcohol use, and not all students are making that choice, but if you are making that choice, we want to make sure that you have the education you need to make sure that you're keeping your blood alcohol content to a safer level, and that you are aware of where your BAC may be so that you can make decisions based on that. So should you drive a vehicle or not? Should you engage in sexual activity or not? Are you making sure to abide by the COVID guidelines? Are you able to stay cognizant enough to maintain those COVID guidelines? So what I'm going to ask Leo to do is to choose a drink. I have a variety of different glasses here: a shot glass, a cocktail glass, I have a beer mug, and a wine glass here. So Leo, can you choose one of those drinks?
I'll choose the cocktail.
Cocktail, awesome. Okay, so what are we pouring today? Just any specific drink you want to use it as an example?
I don't know cocktails. I think like a hot toddy. I think
Okay.
that's like whiskey. Yeah.
Great, so whiskey. So we'll say that we're pouring whiskey in this, and if it's hot, we're not pouring ice into it, so I'm gonna leave ice out of it. So I'm gonna ask you now, I've got our liquid here. This is just a mock liquid, it's not alcoholic. I've dyed it purple today because purple is actually the color of overdose awareness, and so that's part of what we're doing here today, is to help students be aware of their alcohol intake if they're choosing to do that, and making sure that they're reducing the risk of overdose. So purple, overdose awareness. All right, so tell me when to stop.
Okay. Stop.
Okay. All right, awesome. So this is what you've poured yourself here. And I'm gonna go ahead and use our handy measuring cup here to tell you how many drinks you've poured yourself. Okay. So for our whiskey spirits here, you've poured yourself close to 4 drinks, 4 standard.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it gets pretty tough when we look at liquor because it is a super high concentration in alcohol. So I want you to see it again in this glass here. So it doesn't look like a whole lot in this glass here, right? I mean, it doesn't look like an overwhelming.
Yeah.
And certainly if you were at a restaurant and this is what was served to you, I think that this is pretty much what we could expect from a restaurant if we were ordering a whiskey drink. So so that's good to know that you would actually, if you were drinking this much of whiskey, it would be 4 standard drinks, which means that the National Institute of Health says it would take about 4 hours for you to metabolize that drink before your blood alcohol content would be low enough to even consider driving or making other risky decisions like that. I should also mention that there's a variety of different things that help and hinder the metabolization of alcohol, such as body fat content, how much you've had to eat, your sex, your experience with substances, whether you're taking any other substances. If you're taking prescription medications, that can have an influence on how quickly or how slowly you metabolize alcohol. So it's not a direct science for sure, and it's not the same for everybody. So it's not always 1 drink per hour. Your body metabolizes it, but it's a good standard to look at. Okay, so for the purposes of education, Leo, can I ask you to pour a couple different drinks here?
Yeah, of course.
Can we do, which one do you want to do next? We have shot.
I'll do the wine glass.
Okay, so here's our wine glass and our purple liquid. So tell me when to stop. You ready?
Yep. Stop.
All right. So I want you to look at it in the glass here. So I think that that's pretty fair, if not maybe a little less than what I would expect to see like at a restaurant, for example. But
Yeah, that's like what like my family pours at like, like family like holidays and everything like that.
yeah, and that's a good point because sometimes we get students who come to participate in this activity and they're like, well, I don't drink, so why do I need to know this? And it's a good thing for everybody to know because let's say that you're at a family event and a family member is engaging in alcohol use, or you're at a social event, which is not necessarily condoned right now with COVID, but if you're at a social event
Yeah.
with your peers, so making sure that that you know to help them educate them about what their intake looks like and making sure that they're reducing their risks as well if they're choosing to do that. So let's measure out your wine here. So if we look at wine, table wine here, so you've poured yourself about 3/4 of a drink of table wine. Yeah, 3/4 it looks like. So not quite a full glass of wine. So let's pour it back in here. This wine glass is kind of funny because it's fluted at the bottom, which not all wine glasses are like.
Yeah.
But that again kind of points to the fact that the different glasses that you use, it makes it look like more or less. If you're looking at what's called a Bordeaux glass, they're really wide at the bottom. They're a wine glass that's really wide at the bottom. And if you pour one glass of wine in that, it looks like just a tiny little layer of wine at the bottom. So it really makes a difference which glass you use, what it looks like. And also, wine can also vary in concentration. So we're looking at 5 ounces of wine is usually one standard drink, but that's at 12% concentration. So wine can vary anywhere from like 10.5 to 10.5%, all the way up to 14.5. I think 15% is the cap for that. So you again, it depends on the concentration of wine, and that's why it's not an exact science of one drink per 1 hour. There's a lot of different things to consider. So quickly, let's do another shot glass here. So I'm going to ask you to just tell me when to stop. Can you see?
Yeah, stop.
There we go. Okay, so you've poured yourself almost to the top, not quite, but let's see. We have another little smaller glass.
Yeah, I'm used to like the smaller ones, like maybe even like half of that.
Yeah. So this is a tall shot glass, and they definitely have the smaller shot glasses that are like the single ones. But let's see how many standard drinks this is. So this is almost 2. I know it's hard to see. That line at the top there is 2. So almost 2 standard drinks just in a shot glass. And so we have a couple different drinking behaviors that are high risk behaviors. So those are things like, well, let me ask you, what do you think some of the behaviors for high risk alcohol use looks like? What kind of behaviors?
Doing like shots with people.
Yes. So taking shots. So this is 2 standard drinks, and how quickly do you think individuals would finish this?
They finish it in like 5 seconds if you're that good.
Yeah, right. I mean, like, so it's the way a shot glass is designed is to be taken in one drink,
Yeah.
You are putting 2 drinks into your body in an extremely fast manner. Some of the other high risk drinking behaviors that we look at and we hope to educate students about are things like chugging. So chugging beer usually. So that puts alcohol into your body in a really fast manner. Also pre-gaming, it's called. So using alcohol before you go out. So drinking before you get there so that you already have a buzz when you go somewhere and you can save money on alcohol or whatever the reason is. But that could be troublesome too, because if a bartender or student is trying to help limit the amount of alcohol use, they may not know that you've already been drinking or engaging in substance use when you arrive at the event. So those are some of our high risk behaviors that we hope students will think about and maybe make decisions that keep themselves safer rather than engaging in some of those activities. And so lastly, we have our beer mug. So I will ask you to tell me when to stop.
Stop.
Great. Okay. So this one, we don't have the fizz that a normal beer would have when we pour it, but yeah, that's how much I would expect to see at like a restaurant if we were to see this at a restaurant. So let's pour it in our handy measuring glass here. Okay, So for beer, we see that it's a little over 1.5 drinks. So I want to pour it back in the beer glass here, this little beer mug. So this is assuming, this little measuring cup here is assuming that this is a 5%, what they call average American ale. So this is not all the way full, and it's measuring 1.5 drinks at a 5% alcohol concentration. Now what we have to consider, let me pour before I talk because multitasking might get me purple carpet here, so hold on. So what we have to consider is that beer alcohol content goes all over the map. It's all over the place. So you can have a 3.5% beer, all the way up to 9.5, 10% alcohol content, especially if you're looking at a lot of the craft beers that can be really popular during this time of year when the weather's turning colder. So it's also really important to look at too what the concentration of alcohol, the concentration of beer alcohol concentration is, so that you can make informed decisions too, and understanding that if this is a beer mug that you are getting your beer served in, which this is a 16-ounce glass, it looks like, and some restaurants or some places that you'll go or home glasses are 20, 22 ounces. They really, I've seen glasses go 30, 32 ounces. So be aware of how many ounces you're drinking, what the concentration is, and the rate at which you're drinking it. So how quickly is that getting into your body? Are you sipping that, or are you taking a shot, which is getting that 2 standard drinks quickly into your body? So really, like I said, the point of the demonstration is to help students, whether they do engage in alcohol use or not, help them understand some of the things to look out for. So just to review again, making sure that they're paying attention to the size of glass that they're pouring into, how much they're pouring of the substance, what the alcohol concentration of that is, and how quickly they're drinking that. And then that can help them make decisions, like I said, like driving, operating machinery, engaging in sexual activity, just to make sure that they know how impaired they may or may not be before they engage in any of those activities. We just want to note that we think that any alcohol use, you should not drive. Definitely look for alternatives and have a sober buddy. And also we ask students to be cognizant of COVID restrictions at this time, that we encourage all students to maintain a social distance from each other of at least 6 feet, that we ask students to wear masks when they are going out in public, and we ask them to wash their hands as often as they can, so that we could try and keep our campus safe. And our last note is, if you do decide to engage in substance use, we're asking students not to share glasses and not to share any other smoking or vaping devices, that they limit that to individual use if they're choosing to engage in that. And lastly, to try and limit their use if they are choosing to use, because we want students to try and be able to maintain a clear mind as much as they can, so that they can maintain those COVID regulations and keep themselves and their peers safe. Do you have any questions, Leo?
No, I think you really got everything down to the way, like, it doesn't matter like how many shots you do at a time, the metabolism isn't gonna generate anything faster. It's within whenever, whatever your body is made up of, or the situation you're in. It's
Absolutely.
those factors that play a part into the metabolism, not if, like, say, like, you like have like a routine of like sobering up or anything. It's the body.
Yeah, there's a lot of myths. That's a really good point. There's a lot of myths about being able to sober up, like, oh, have a cup of coffee or take a cold shower. And at the end of the day, that may make you feel more awake, but it's not going to change your blood alcohol concentration. It's not going to change the way that your body is metabolizing the alcohol, and overall how it impairs your nervous system and your brain. So, risk of overdose or making risky decisions, that still is all there. Matt, our director at the Wellness Center, he likes to say that it just makes a really awake drunk person if you do anything. So yeah, it is really important to be aware that a lot of those things are myths, and that time is the only thing that you can really do to metabolize the alcohol. And so we really hope that with this Red Zone Prevention Friday series that we're doing, that this Standard Drink Challenge is a part of, that we help educate students on how they can reduce their risks, keep themselves safer, we hope to reduce the amount of students who are transported to the hospital for alcohol use. And so it's really up to our community to educate themselves and to educate their peers on how they can reduce their risks. So that's why we're so proud of our campus for taking hold of this and having our students like you, Leo, really participate and help get the word out there. So thank you so much for being with us today. And